All right, QB list options. So what I've done here, guys, is I've gone through and I have listed every relevant QB that I can find, any QB that was talked about in an article about who's going to be starting. So if I have a QB not on here, it's because I did not read anything about them being relevant for the starting job. All right, so don't tell me your walk-on sophomore redshirt quarterback from zero zone Indiana is not on here. I only am listing the relevant ones, and there are probably some that I overlisted just to be safe. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll each give our thoughts on who we think the quarterback is. Whoever we three agree on is who we will kind of declare our projected quarterback as. Obviously, I'm going to go with more of what Justin thinks in the Nebraska battle. Justin will probably go with more of what maybe me and Zach think with the Ohio State battle. But at the end of the day, we will probably all come to some type of agreement at the end. So is that fair, guys?
Yep.
All right.
That's fair.
All right, let's start with Illinois. Donovan Leary is there, the brother of Devin Leary, who was at Kentucky last year, but Luke Altmaier was the starter. He did get benched at one point, but the guy, I forget his name, Paddock. Don Paddock. He Padlock.
Whatever.
He is gone, so Luke Altmaier stays. I think Luke Altmaier comes in as the starter like last year. Zach, do you have any objection to that?
I got Altmaier.
Yeah. Justin, you're saying?
I got Altmaier as well. He was inconsistent at times last year, but he showed flashes, and he showed flashes of dynamicism. He was a top 5 player in the state of Mississippi. So, yeah, I think it's Altmaier.
All right. So we're just going to go over here. So we'll actually go to Ohio State next. Ohio State, we have Will Howard, Devin Brown, who started the bowl game last year. Will Howard is a transfer coming in from Kansas State that, some people are saying, which I don't entirely disagree with, that he got benched at Kansas State for the recruit that came in there. So kind of a weird situation. Then Lincoln Keyholt's the guy who came in for Devin Brown when he got hurt and didn't look great, but looked like a freshman. And then you have your freshman, Julian Sayin and Aaron Nolan, who are there as well. Without going too deep into it, I still feel like it's probably Will Howard, but I know Zach has a feeling that it could also be Devin Brown. I know that is something that some Ohio State, podcasts and stuff are saying, and that's gaining more buzz. But we'll see what happens there. I don't think Julian Sayin or Aaron Nolan have a chance starting game one. But Zach, we'll go with your thoughts.
It's gonna be Jeremiah Smith and the Wildcat. Let's get no kidding.
Nice.
I think Will Howard. Just the more I have thought about it, I feel like he does not move the needle, and I think they're going to trust him. I think Ryan Day really wants Devin Brown to be the starter. Like, I think he wants to give him every opportunity. I think he's taking first team reps during spring ball. And I just, there's something about Ryan Day. He handpicked him as a recruit. I think he wanted to play Devin Brown over Kyle McCord, but he was just too inconsistent. And so I'll probably get to September or August and be like, it's probably Will Howard. But right now, I think I'm actually putting my chips on Devin Brown.
Wow. So, Justin, you actually are the deciding vote here. I don't know how much Ohio State research you did going into this, but
yeah, I'm going Will Howard. I see what Zach says about him not moving the needle, and I agree in terms of the big picture. But I do think that there are some nuances to Will Howard's game that he's going to be able to bring in, and that's going to help them as opposed to Kyle McCord. There were some, there's nuances to their game while they look like very similar quarterbacks. Their stats are very similar. I just didn't think there's certain things in Will Howard's game that they wanted that Kyle McCord couldn't give them. And I think Chip Kelly is going to want somebody who is, has experience. And I think that the reason why they probably will go with the experienced guys, because Ohio State doesn't need a huge improvement at quarterback to get much better. They got better everywhere else. So if they can have Will Howard come in and do what Kyle McCord did, they're still going to be probably the top team in college football, in my opinion. So I don't think they need to risk it with throwing Drew Brown out there, or Devin Brown, I'm sorry. And Drew Brown's an old Nebraska kicker. Devin Brown.
We don't want him starting.
No. Well, we might, but no. Yeah. So, I think for those reasons, I just think Will Howard's going to be the guy. I think it's the safest option.
Yeah.
That was the other piece of it that I was going to say was experience as well. With this many guys coming back, I feel like at least at the beginning of the year, you have to go with the guy who has experience. You can't go with a non-experienced guy. Sorry, Zach. Go ahead.
Your make or break year. Like if you're on the hot seat, go with the experience.
Right.
Yeah, I think the thing that Devin Brown would have to prove is that he's consistent and reliable. And I would agree that if he can't prove that in practice, then it's absolutely Will Howard, because he's proven that Will Howard is reliable and consistent. So I think that's a fair. I think either of those guys, Yankee Wolverine, he's my guy. Even as a Michigan guy, he's my guy. But he asked the question: is QB the weak link to Ohio State in 2024? I think honestly, yes. And I think that's why we're having the discussion about Will Howard and Devin Brown and like why I think they would go Will Howard is because they want the reliable guy. They don't necessarily have, I think the guy is either Julian Sain or Aaron Nolan, but that's a couple years down the road.
Yankee says he'd take Kyle McCord over all of them. Okay, Yankee.
I mean, honestly,
don't say that name in front of an Ohio State fan. Sorry, go ahead. Just
again with the improvement, like Kyle McCord, this team is probably better even if he's still the quarterback.
Yeah,
so it doesn't take much.
I actually might agree.
Yeah,
he would have more experience and would definitely make him better. So, all right, let's go on to our next one. Indiana. Taven Jackson started off the year, the starter last year. Eventually got benched for I'm forgetting the quarterback's name, but he is gone, and now it is Curtis Rourke who is brought in, who kind of seems to be the favorite for that position. Justin, do you agree that Curtis Rourke is the guy, or are you going to go with somebody like Taven Jackson?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Curtis Rourke, and I had notes on Curtis Rourke, but I just accidentally deleted them while I was trying to find them. But yes, I just think it's one of those things, stability things, and Indiana kind of is what they are. Their ceiling is what it is. I don't think this is going to be too much of a painstaking process. I think Curtis Rourke needs to be the guy. Just experience alone, and Indiana is going to need an experienced quarterback just because their talent level isn't there.
Yeah, you agree, Zach?
Oh yeah. I think, and Curtis Rourke was great for Ohio, so I think he'll transition in there well. He has a lot of experience, and I think it gives Curt Cignetti's crew a boost, I think, as he has his first season.
Curtis Rourke, interesting fact, he actually had a top 5 QBR in 2022 with CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams. No, was it Caleb Williams or Bryce Young? And then Curtis Rourke and McLeod, the guy from James Madison, who, Curt Cignetti was a coach for. So,
and that takes the totality of everything into account, everything quarterback does.
Yep. So, all right, move on over to Oregon. So they brought in 2 new quarterbacks this year. Austin Novosad was really the only quarterback of note that stayed. He is the same year as Dante Moore, so we'll see kind of how that position, the secondary quarterback there, pans out. However, I think at the end of the day, it probably is Dylan Gabriel. Zach, do you agree?
Yeah, Heisman. I think he could be a Heisman contender at Oregon.
I think his odds are up there. Yeah, Justin?
I think they had the 2 best quarterback additions of the offseason, sans Nebraska. Dante Moore is a great quarterback to have, but yeah, it's Dylan Gabriel, but what a great quarterback situation to be in there.
Yeah, for real. All right. Not trying to get through this, so I'm not doing the chat too much, but Dave does have a question on Indiana. Can Indiana make a bowl game with Curtis Rourke at QB? I think Curtis Rourke is bowl game good enough. I question if the rest of the team is. What were you going to say, Justin?
I would have to take a look at their schedule before I could determine that.
Their first 6 games would be winnable. Like FIU,
make a bowl game with Peyton Manning in his prime at their
FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern.
Oh yeah, but
they have a shot.
Their last 6 games though are not winnable.
I would say the under is more likely, but they got a shot.
Yeah. All right, let's move on over to Iowa. Zach made a joke going into this. He said, "Can we just not pick a quarterback for Iowa because they won't have one?" I feel like that'd be a little disrespectful. I know Justin would like
threw me
it.
under the bus, man. What the heck?
We would have picked Caden Proctor, but
No, I actually think Cade McNamara could have a pretty good year this year, coming back for what is it? I think it's his 5th year. So I'm gonna go obviously with Cade McNamara, and I actually think that this Marco, I don't know how to say his last name, Lins, whatever, however you say it. I actually think he could be their backup quarterback instead of Deacon Hill this year. He played pretty good in the bowl game and showed some flashes. And if you ask me, you need an athletic quarterback back there for when stuff breaks down, but we'll see what Tim Lester comes up with. But I think it's Cade McNamara. Zach, do you have any opposition to that?
No, I think Cade McNamara, especially with an improved offensive philosophy, I think he'll be pretty good for Iowa this year.
Yeah. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah. Cade McNamara, Tim Lester's offense, I think, I think Tim Lester's going to make that offense better. And I think Cade McNamara is he has to be the guy. He's the air incumbent. He's not going to be, he might be injured for part of spring. And even then he's still going to run away with the job. Deacon Hill's terrible.
Yes. Sorry, Justin, I wasn't laughing at you.
You're good.
Yankee.
Dozens of yards.
You're good.
Cade will throw for dozens of yards.
Yes, but you make excellent points, Justin, even though we were laughing at Yankees comment.
No, that's fine. I love
it. Penn State. So here's the thing. Penn State, Drew Aller will be the starting quarterback. However, Bo Prabula, however you pronounce his last name. Again, I'm terrible with pronouncing names. He was not terrible going into like the backup situation when he played when Drew Aller went down a couple times last year. So like, I'm not saying Bo is going to be the starter or anything like that, but if Drew Aller does have a bad season and things don't start out well, which I think Drew Aller is good, so I don't think I'm projecting that to happen. Don't be surprised if Bo comes in and starts getting some time. Justin, you agree Drew Aller is going to be the guy, and do you have any thoughts on Bo?
Yeah, Drew Aller is going to be the guy, and the only reason he would get benched is because Penn State has been supposed to take this leap for so long, and this is the year. Again, people are saying like, okay, they expect Drew Aller to be the reason that Penn State takes that jump because they expect his year-over-year jump to be that. And I could see an emotional reaction if he doesn't pan out to where they do make that move. The fan base pressure might push that on him, but yeah. So, but it's Drew Aller.
Zach.
Yeah, I think that the one reason why Prabula would get more time is most likely like a Wildcat package or some sort of package of plays. I'm curious to see how the new offensive coordinator helps Drew Aller, because I don't think James Franklin has traditionally done well with traditional drop back passers. Like he's done really well. I don't think he did a great job with the first quarterback that he had that was Bill O'Brien had him, Christian Hackenberg.
Oh yeah.
Did terrible with him, but McSorley and Sean Clifford, I thought were both really good. They were mobile, could run, read option. I don't think he knows how to deal with drop back passers in his offense. And so I think it's going to really help to have Kotelnicki as his offensive coordinator, but I would not be surprised to see an uptick in Prabula's playing time just with particular packages as a run threat.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right. This is one of the ones I didn't even write a name down for because I am just so perplexed by this. And there are so little people are writing about this. But the Maryland Terrapins, their quarterback situation this offseason, I will admit anybody that I pick here, I don't write my name in stone with it. It's like, I'm kind of just taking a shot in the dark here. MJ Morris comes in as a transfer. Billy Edwards Jr. started that bowl game, did pretty well for them. Cameron Edge, Jaden Surrey, and Champ Long are all options that have been written about as well. I mean, to me, it's kind of between Morris and Billy Edwards Jr., but honestly, I could go either way on this one. And if Justin comes in here and says, actually, Cameron Edge is doing very well so far, and he could be the starter, like, I'm not going to argue with him because at the end of the day, like I said, I there just doesn't seem to be a front runner here at all. And it sounds like this could honestly be anybody's job to win. So I'll reserve my pick for last, but Justin, why don't you go first?
I think it's going to be MJ Morris, and I had MJ Morris a lot higher up. And when Tagovailoa was
Transfer
still
rankings, yeah.
at Maryland, yeah, I had him higher on my transfer rankings because I kind of like what MJ Morris can do. I do think he needs, of course, development with his accuracy. He doesn't really have the velocity to throw the deep ball. So it depends on what style of offense Maryland wants to run if they want to utilize the deep ball, but he has the legs, he can move. He's good with rhythm throws and stuff like that. So if you can get him in a rhythm and just get him on some quick routes and even the intermediate game, but he's just not going to be able to really give you the consistent deep ball accuracy that you want. But I think he does a lot of things well. And I think he is the type of quarterback that can come in and somewhat run a similar offense to Tagovailoa, albeit probably a little less efficient. But we'll see. Mike Loxley, we'll see what happens there. But I think MJ Morris is the guy. I like MJ Morris. I'm higher on him than most people. I just think potential, and I'm a big film guy. I try to watch a lot of film and stuff like that. And I like MJ Morris as a quarterback. So I'm excited to see the dynamicism if he does end up winning the job.
Oh, and you think if he comes in, he has to feel like he has a pretty good chance of winning that job as well. Yeah. So, Zach, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's hard because I've mostly seen Billy Edwards as a run threat. Like I don't know if he's done great with his arm, and I haven't watched a ton of film on Edwards. Mm-hmm. The guy who might be able to outthrow Morris is Edge. He had a pretty decent bowl game against Auburn, but I think I agree with you, Justin. I think MJ Morris has the edge. He played pretty well for NC State, and I think he's better than both the other options.
Yeah. Well, you guys have convinced me. I'll go with MJ Morris too. Yeah. Not like it matters.
His stats don't jump off the page, but like what I see in him, I think the potential is there if they can just develop him right.
Yeah, I will honestly say I did not watch much NC State football last year, so it wasn't my first look when I was watching. All right, guys, Purdue Hudson Card, redshirt sophomore. There is another redshirt senior. There is another redshirt senior on this roster. However, I don't really think he has a chance to supplant Hudson Card. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts, but we all agree Hudson Card, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Sorry, Purdue fans. I don't really think there's much mystery there to talk about. So, Michigan State, kind of the same way. Aiden Childs comes in, and he was the heir apparent at Oregon State. Was with Jonathan Smith, and Jonathan Smith brought in basically this entire quarterback room, and so I think they're all brand new. There's a redshirt senior in there, but I don't think he has a chance to start over Aiden Childs. So, unless you guys have any different opinions there.
No, they lost their starter and their backup. So
I think they lost all three.
Tim Levitt. Yeah, they might have.
Yeah. Noah Kim, Kent. No, not Kent. Anyway. Yeah. They lost
I liked Tim Levitt though. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, Sam Levitt. That's one. All right. Rutgers. So this one's actually pretty interesting as well. We have a few interesting ones here back to back. We'll get to Michigan next. But Rutgers, we have Gavin Wimsatt and Athan Kaliak-Manis. Those kind of seem to be the two front runners. I've seen Shepard and O'Sullivan mentioned as well, but obviously not on the same level as Wimsatt and Kaliak-Manis. So, Zach, you have any thoughts here on Wimsatt versus Kaliak-Manis?
I know a lot of Rutgers fans get frustrated with Wimsatt's accuracy. I just think his athleticism is tantalizing. And I think Wimsatt's improved every year. And I don't, this is just my personal thought. I don't see anything with Kaliak-Manis that makes me go, oh yeah, he should definitely start over Wimsatt, especially because Wimsatt knows the playbook. So I would tend to pick Wimsatt. That would be my pick.
Justin?
Yeah. So Athan Kaliak-Manis is terrible. Okay. He is trash. Gavin Wimsatt is going to win this job. Yeah. I get that, Athan Kaliak-Manis has a little bit of a better percentage, but it's negligible as far as completion percentage. Gavin Wimsatt, 4-star recruit, six starts in 2022, about a 50% completion percentage, 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. But like Zach said, he has the running ability. He was the second leading rusher. And, he looks to be improving in terms of his passing ability. And, there are other issues there at Rutgers on the offense. The offensive line and the wide receivers aren't nothing to write home about. So I do think Gavin Wimsatt is going to win this job based on the fact that Ethan Kaliak-Manis couldn't probably start for ITT Technical Institute right now. So
it was interesting. Before we got on here, I was actually listening to a video of a Rutgers guy talking about how he thinks Ethan Kaliak-Manis is going to be the starter this year.
I could be wrong, but I can't stand the guy, man.
Well, and
he's
like
terrible.
The reasonings, and I understood what he was saying. The reasonings was that he believes Ethan Kaliak-Manis offers more potential because of his body size and because he has a stronger arm that can throw better, and he has underrated athleticism. I see the size. Like, I see that he has, an NFL body, but my problem is, like, you can have an NFL body, but if you don't have NFL ability, it doesn't really do much for you. So at the end of the night, like, I could see Ethan Kaliak-Manis maybe getting it just because of Kirk Soraka and like that previous, relationship there. And it's also possible Ethan Kaliak-Manis just said, look, if I'm not going to be an NFL quarterback, I might as well go finish out with my old OC that I liked better anyway. And Minnesota fans don't really like me anyway, which, everything I read on Twitter, I don't think they really liked him all that much. So I get it. But so I tend to agree it's going to be Wimsatt, but based on some stuff that I've heard and read, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns into Kaliak-Manis.
There's so many nuances that are beyond size. Like, that's like this surface level. Like, I'm going to go look at this player's bio and I'm going to see his size and his arm strength, and then we're going to judge him off of that. There's so much more than that. If you watch Kaliak-Manis play, he gave PJ Fleck his second worst season in his tenure there, 7 years. Okay. He is garbage.
Oh, it's like the same stuff I get on the NFL for what's that Tennessee Old Michigan quarterback's name? He was just there last year. Super big arm. People are crazy about him.
Joe Milton.
Joe Milton. It's like the same thing where it's like, guys, yes, he has a big arm. Yes, he can throw it 80 yards, but the dude sucks. Like, he's not good. So, you can draft him and think you can fix him, but so for Rutgers' sake, I do think I do hope it's Wimsatt because I do think he'll be better. So,
yep.
All right, guys, let's move on to Michigan. We got John Diadamo here in the chat, so I'm sure John will share his thoughts as well. But honestly, like, based off the stuff that I've read, I could see any one of these five being the starter. Everybody kind of seems to be split on it. I know there's some people on Twitter that are saying Alex Orji is a Heisman contender. So, if that happens, he's a starting quarterback. But, I just haven't seen any of these guys really play. Jack Tuttle did well as a reserve for J.J. McCarthy last year. I guess he wasn't really as a reserve. He kind of came in when the second team came in. So, but he did well. I liked what I saw from his arm ability and overall. But at the end of the day, I think Alex Orji has some of the more hype. And Jaden Davis has some hype too. But at the end of the day, I couldn't, I tend to lean one way with one of them, but if it was somebody else, I wouldn't be surprised. Justin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like Alex Orji and Jaden Davis. Jack Tuttle got approved for his 7th year, I believe, but I think it's Alex Orji. I think I like him right now as the better combination of skill and, Jaden Davis being a freshman. I think he's the air incumbent, but I don't think he's quite there yet. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think it's going to be Alex Orji. I'm higher than on Alex Orji than most. I like him, but yeah, I'm not as intertwined as Michigan is. So John Diadamo can correct me if I'm wrong, but I like Alex Orji.
And for the record, I like Alex Orji too. If I'm picking one, I'm picking Alex Orji as well, because I do think that he offers running ability that is going to be good for a first-time head coach and a first-time. Well, I guess it's not his first time. He was at Old Dominion, but their first time in a power conference as a offensive coordinator in Kirk Campbell. So I think that offers a lot of, different options that you can do on the ground as well. So I'm going to go with Alex Orji as well. Zach, do you have a different thought?
So I'm cheating a little bit. I'm looking at 247 I've looked at a few different sites and prep for this. I'm going to go with a dark horse here in Jaden Denegal. There's just a lot of hype. There's been some hype around him. He ranked as a top 20 quarterback coming out of 2022. I think Orgy, it's been a lot of run threat, and Jaden Davis is a true freshman. So I don't know. I could very easily be wrong here, and I could be just going off the hype of a well-respected news site, sports news site. But I don't know. I wonder if it's the guy that we're not suspecting that could be the guy that comes and wins this race.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, I could see any 5 of them. Like even if Davis Warren comes out and he's a starter, like I would be surprised, but I would be like, I couldn't tell you. I didn't think it was an option in the offseason.
Yeah, Dave is apparently on Team Orgy, just a different one.
Spelled with an ORJI
and an N. He said everyone likes N, so it's just the wrong kind. Yeah. Wrong channel.
Jeez. All right, quickly, let's move on to USC.
Before I get us banned and demonetized.
Yeah, I know, right? They do ask those questions now that I have 1,000 subscribers. They're like, "Did you mention any?"
Oh, I know they do it on the Husker channel, but like that, there you have to say like cuss words and something really bad, not that.
Yeah. All right. USC, Miller Moss, Jaden Maeva. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Jake Jensen, Miller Moss started the bowl game. Every USC fan seems to think that he is the guy. I don't tend to argue with him. I think he is as well. Zach, do you have a different opinion?
He destroyed Louisville. He's the guy.
Yeah. Justin.
Miller Moss. Yeah. He's a pocket QB. He does everything well in terms of being a pocket quarterback. He doesn't lose composure. That's he is one of those guys that is very, methodical in the way he operates. And I've learned a lot about Miller Moss just from talking with on our USC program overview and stuff like that too. So, using a little bit of insight that I got from them over there.
Yeah, I think it's the choice. So, all right, Minnesota, Max Brosmer coming in from the portal. They have a completely new quarterback room. I don't see any reason. Max Brosmer is very good at, New Hampshire, I think. He was very good there. So I don't see any reason why they would pick Shikanjansky, name I cannot pronounce. Sure. The other Max.
We don't need to know it this year anyways.
Justin, do you think it's going to be Brosmer too?
Yeah, he was first in the FCS in passing yards per game, total offense per game. He had like 60 touchdowns in 2 seasons, something like that. Yeah, he's the guy.
Zach?
Yep. Agreed.
All right. A little bit more difficult one here. Ethan Garbers, Colin Shee, Justin Martin, Henry Hasselbeck, and Carson Gordon for UCLA. Right before we came on here, I read an article saying that from 24/7, so it's not like this is just some schmo UCLA site, but saying that they would not be surprised if Henry Hasselbeck or Carson Gordon are the starter because they're looking at this year as basically it's going to be terrible anyway, so why don't we just give our future quarterbacks some time? I feel like you're kind of doing Colin Schlee and Ethan Garbers a little wrong there, personally, but I guess can't say it wouldn't happen. Zach, do you have any thoughts on who the starter is here?
I think it's Garbers. I think he's the guy. He started last year. I think that's the way to go. I get the possibility of a freshman, but you have a redshirt senior who has starts under his belt and who played fairly well for UCLA last year. So I don't see why you'd switch from that.
Yeah, I think it's Garbers too. He played well in the bowl game, and I feel like for Deshaun Foster, that's kind of the easy choice. But Justin, you have any different thoughts?
Yeah, Garbers, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He was a 4-star kid. The only reason I think they would pick somebody else is because their quarterback or their head coach, who they got as their head coach, was completely wrong decision. And if he makes a mistake, he'll start one of them.
That could be true.
Yeah.
All right.
I like how Nebraska has like the least experienced quarterback room, but you gave them the longest list.
Well, that was because all of them were mentioned when I.
No, I know. Literally, we're going to need all hands on deck potentially.
Yankee says, great pod, as always. And I'll even say it for you, Yankee. Go blue. So there you go. I'll even say it for you. So you type it, I'll say it. That's fine. All right. I'm going to Ohio State fan.
That's a dangerous thing to say, JR.
I've done it in mine too.
Yeah. All right. Nebraska, Henry Harburg, I think, and Dylan Raiola are really the only two options, or Heinrich Harburg and Dylan Raiola are really the only two options here, but I have seen these other guys mentioned as well. Justin, who are you going with here?
Yeah. So for me, it's really Danny Kaelin, Dylan Raiola. Like Daniel Kaelin was the guy that basically committed when Raiola went to Georgia, and he stuck with his commitment. So he is a 4-star kid, true freshman as well. And so, Harburg has a lot of flaws and stuff he needs to work on. I don't think Harburg will be the starter. I think it's Raiola's job, no matter what. I think it's Raiola's job, but I do think Kaelin is probably going to push him the most as far as talent, but Raiola is going to get the job. No doubt about it in my mind. Rule's already talking. He's attacking it. He's there at 6 a.m., 10 a.m. is his workout, and he's there at 6 a.m. working by himself. The rest of these guys, Luke Longval, suck up Jack Wochi. Sorry, I was having a stroke there. Those are walk-ons. So, based on the scholarship guys, it's Harburg, Danny Kaelin, and Dylan Raiola. And Dylan Raiola is going to get the job no matter what.
Yeah. Zach, your thoughts?
Yeah, Justin, you convinced me ever since you came on to the show, onto our show here, that it's going to be Raiola, and I haven't changed my mind on that.
Yep.
All right, Raiola it is. All right, I think the rest of these three are pretty self-explanatory, but we'll talk about them just to be sure. Washington, Will Rogers. Zach, you have any disagreement with that?
He got out of the transfer portal and came back to Washington, and I think it's because he knows he's going to have the job.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Justin?
Agreed.
100%. All right. Will Rogers, Northwestern. I think Brendan Sullivan is most likely the guy. Ryan Helsinki, I think he was the one that came in during that bowl game. So I guess he could possibly push for it, but I think Sullivan is most likely the guy in this situation. Justin, you have any opposition to that?
I like Ryan Helsinki.
Do you? Okay.
But I think, I think Brendan Sullivan might be the guy, but I don't think Ryan Helsinki's out of it, but.
I don't think he's out of it either. I just think right now the kind of group think and what most people think is going to happen is
trending that direction. Yeah.
Yeah. And Sullivan played well in relief of Ben Bryant last year. It's weird because Ryan Helsinki was a starter for South Carolina and played well. And I thought when Northwestern got him, I'm like, oh, he is the heir apparent, and he has not been, it surprised me because I thought he played well at South Carolina. So, but yeah, Sullivan.
I like him. Yeah.
All right, go with Sullivan. Last one, Wisconsin has brought in another transfer quarterback. Braden Locke did start last year when what's his name? Okay, can't remember his name, but
Tanner
Mordecai. Yeah. Now Tanner Morgan is a Minnesota quarterback.
Yeah, too many names.
I just get all the Big Ten quarterbacks mixed up.
There's so many.
But Nick Evers is also he was a highly rated recruit who came in as well, so he also could be vying for that second position there. But I still think it's going to be Tyler Van Dyke. Zach, you have any opposition to that?
I think he might be the best quarterback Wisconsin's had in a long time.
Tyler Van Dyke, it is, and I just think it'll be interesting to see how Luke Fickell's offensive system looks this year, since there was growing pains last year with Van Dyke. And so we'll see. I'm curious. I'm really curious to see how long it takes him to fully implement that system the way he wants to. So,
yeah. All right. So just to recap, our starters are Wisconsin, Tyler Van Dyke; Northwestern, Brendan Sullivan; Washington, Will Rogers; Nebraska, Dylan Raiola; UCLA, Ethan Garbers; Minnesota, Max Brosmer; Michigan, Alex Orji; USC, Miller Moss; Rutgers, Gavin Wimsatt; Michigan State, Aiden Childs; Purdue, Hudson Card; Maryland, MJ Morris; Penn State, Drew Aller; Iowa, Cade McNamara; Indiana, Curtis Rourke; Oregon, Dylan Gabriel; Ohio State, Will Howard; Illinois, Luke Altmaier. If you're watching this after the fact and you have any opposition to those, please do let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Obviously, some of these are easier to pick than others. However, if you feel a certain way, we'd love to get your take on it. So Listen to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.